Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Wednesday night coverage on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Tonight, it's the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series, Season 7, Race Number 7, here tonight. The drivers getting away from Bristol and heading to the past as they're driving the Gen 4 cars at Legacy, Texas. The 2009 configuration, a track slightly different from the current Texas that NASCAR runs today. The difference is it's turns 1 and 2. They've got a little bit more of a narrower track. They've got the same banking as 3 and 4. And we're expecting the great racing action here at this course to continue on. Practice is done, qualifying underway. Once again, trying to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is going to be Joshua Altus. And Josh, we got to see a lot of great racing last week at Bristol. 6 races in the book, 6 different winners, and now we go to a legacy track where there is no knowledge of what we're to expect, but certainly should be a good one.
Yeah, Sam, exciting to be here in Texas, man. You know, they say everything's bigger in Texas, and that's it tonight, man. We got the old school layout tonight, so like you were saying, not a whole lot of data for these drivers to go off of. One of my personal favorite tracks. I think we're in for a good show tonight.
And tonight's race is going to be 150 laps. They do have competition caution at the end of lap 45, but it's qualifying. The drivers are more so carrying about currently. Most of the drivers going to be starting out on their first lap, and we take a look at the one of Brandon Colley, hoping to take the pole award. First lap down was the slowest of all drivers that have put down a time, but can that extra speed work out here? A good exit at turn number 4, crossing the line, trying to beat Zach Hall's fastest lap. It's a 28.8, but Colley coming up short. It's 4th fastest with a 28.975. Zach Hall still holds steady up top, but can he stay there for long? As Benjamin Nelson, first lap, going to be clocked in. Can the 79 beat out that 32?
Yeah, and it looks like just as you're saying that, Sam, top of the board goes Benjamin Nelson, provisional pole.
First lap, give it to the 79. Can there be a little bit of extra speed in the second one? It's a 28.813 time. A very quick speed. Top 4 drivers all within a tenth of one another. But Benjamin Nelson, neat, tidy, trying to rebound. The last couple of weeks have been tough for the 79 machine. The mile and a half have been great races so far. And it does go faster. First driver to hit the 7/10 in the 28 marker. Certainly a lot of speed, but speaking of drivers trying to get some rebounds, here's going to be Larry Yingling trying to start out on the right foot.
Yeah, I think Larry Yingling's going to be on a little bit of a revenge tour this week, Sam. We talked about that strategy call going amiss for him last week at Bristol. So Larry Yingling, you know, our 3-time champ, we know he's going to be strong each and every week, and I look for him to be good here at Texas.
Fastest driver in practice, taking the top of the board. James Heater trying to take the pole award here tonight. Take his first pole for the rookie. Larry Yingling's first lap about to be clocked in for the 67. The first lap's been very quick for these drivers. Larry Yingling's lap going to be slightly slower than most. He's aiming for that second lap to be the faster time. 1 minute and 25 seconds left in qualifying. We right on board with the 67. Marching his way forward. Great exit at turn 2, but 3 and 4, hoping to keep it neat, tidy, carry the speed. Each corner is at 24 degrees on both ends of the course, but it's this quad oval coming on the straightaway, right against the grass, maximizing the speed, and across the line, Douglas Newbigging up to 3rd, Larry Yingling up to 9th, but James Heater holds on.
James Heater living up to his name. He put down a heater of a lap, Sam. Ran a 76. I didn't know if we would see too many more people getting into the 7s here, but Benjamin Nelson sitting on a 79, and then Douglas Newbigging at a 79.1. So our top 3 all in the 7s in terms of their qualifying time.
It looks to be that is all for qualifying for these drivers. Big shout out to our major sponsors here for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series, being Roasted Gems Coffee themselves. You start your day off right with some Roasted Gems Coffee. And as well, your qualifying sponsor, going to be Colley's mom. Brandon Colley's mom's been sponsoring qualifying results for the last couple of seasons. Always looking for the best for the one machine. And this season's already been capped off with a good one. Got the one machine in victory lane a few weeks ago at Darlington. Going to have a little bit of a longer day today. But James Heater keeping the speed up. Now the question is that hot lap speed going to be consistent over the run of a race. That 18 we know can be fast as qualifying is concluded. It's time for us to get ready for some Legacy's Texas racing in the WSSR Rosa Gems Cup Series Season 7, race number 7. Are the numbers lining up for Douglas Newbigging? Well, it wasn't quick enough to take the polls. We take a look at our Collie's Mom's qualifying results. It's James Heater grabbing his very first pole award here in the WSSR Cup Series 18 to get the top of the board. Douglas Newbigging, been quick, trying to get back into victory lane. Going to be in second position. Third goes Douglas Newbigging. Zach Hall in fourth. Winner of last night's race for the Full Send Racing Series. Brian P. Johnson, Season 1 champion, still looking for a victory in the 2018, starting in fifth. The last week's winner of the 11 of John Moore, starting in sixth. Cedric Hunter in seventh. Eighth goes to Cole Sketty. He's been on a hot streak for the 42. Larry Gainling in ninth. And 10th, finishing out, it's the sixth of Brad Delp.
And starting just outside our top 10, starting in 11th will be the 9 of Shane Tyrion. To his outside will be the number 17 of Chris Stitz, another solid qualifying effort by Stitz there. Starting 13th will be the 86 of Nolan Hitz. 14th will be Danny Cochran. Christopher Norris will roll off 15th. Brandon Colley will roll off 16th. Joshua Kanada will start 17th tonight. To his outside, Isaiah Sutherland will start 18th. Isaiah's been doing really, really well the last couple races, so looking forward to seeing him march forward tonight. Starting 19th will be Ken Campbell, and to his outside, rounding out the top 20 will be Ollie Fonseca.
Then in 21st spot, the 99 of Kyle Rochelle. 22nd goes the 88 of Noah Steele. Thomas Walter in 23rd. Christopher Wade in 24th. Mason Cassidy in the 25th position. Tyler Dangler in 26th. Devin Brock 27th. 28th is going to be Jonathan Coxwell. Then Brian with an I. Johnson in 29th. The last four drivers did not qualify, so their positioning was based off their iRacing rankings. And Ross Tatum going to be taking 30th. Brian Noel in 31st. Brandon Zimmerman in 32nd, and final driver on the grid going to be James Kaufman. Tonight's race, 150 laps, a competition caution at the end of lap 45, unless there's a caution before that lap, then that will count as our competition caution. There will be no fast repairs in 5 sets of tires in pit road, where drivers could be a lot more thinking about using those tires, especially with the amount of rubber they're going to be having to work with here tonight. Brian Noel going to be having to start at the end of the line for the 77 DOL penalty to start the race off. So he's going to have to march his way forward. But Josh, again, not a lot of information. First time that we're seeing this car at this track, and first time for the WSSR to be at this Legacy course. Not a lot of information, but what are you expecting to see here in the early portions?
Yeah, I mean, stuff to see, Sam. Not a whole lot of information to go off of. I think Texas is the old school layout that we're running tonight. It's similar to like a sister track to Atlanta. Not quite as abrasive on the tires. So honestly, I think we'll kind of see, our cream rise to the top here. We know who the fast guys are week in and week out, and looking forward to seeing a great race tonight.
Expecting a good one. Up front, James Heater in the 18, going to be our control vehicle as well. We want to give a huge shout out to Race Control, being Steve Benjamin. We'll be giving you all the updates you saw on the lower thirds. But the drivers, pace cars into pit road. It's time for Texas to get green flag racing, as here we go. Race number 7 is underway. The 18 of James Heater, Benjamin Nelson, side by side as they roar down into turn number 1.
As they roar down into turn 1, it looks like James Heater's going to get the advantage early with Benjamin Nelson right on his bad bumper.
Right on the back bumper in line. Going to be our front 2, slightly side by side for third place. Zach Hall gets a massive run on the outer groove. Front 2 trying to get down low, stay on that white line. Not sure how much of side-by-side racing we're expecting to see in the early portions. Seems like the inside lane is the more preferred spot, but with the tire wear, could be seeing that aspect change as James Heater leads lap number 1 for the 18. And this is a good showing right now for the 18 as he's trying to pull away from Nelson.
Yeah, really strong start for James Heater here. One thing we'll talk about, I'm sure we'll mention more, Sam, is turn 1 and 2. It's going to be a lot different than the newer version of the track. It's more of a one-lane version on the newer version. This, you do have room to race side by side, so I think the bottom's still going to be the preferred, but it looks like Benjamin Nelson's starting to eat up our leader here.
Benjamin Nelson, James Heater pulling away from the rest of the field. Nelson ducks it down low, trying to make the pass, and Heater just gives it up, says, hey, take that position. I'm not going to fight you. Protect the tires is the 18. And Benjamin Nelson trying to roar away, our Las Vegas winner back at race number 3. Hoping to get a second win to get the first drive to be a multi-time winner. But as well, John Forbes, winner from last week, the 11, feeling like maybe he stole that race from Larry Yingling. The 67 last week caught up in an incident where everyone came into pit road. The 67 was left on his own and never was able to recover after how dominant the first half of Bristol went. For Larry Yingling here tonight, looking good, up to 6th place, up 3 spots from requalifying.
Yeah, Larry Yingling and John Forbes really picking up right where they left off last week. They battled around each other all night until the strategy, had them go different directions. But Larry Yingling not wasting a whole lot of time. He's looking to the inside of Brian P. Johnson now to break into the top 5.
Cedric Hunter now on the charge, 13, going to be in that Hello Kitty machine, trying to move forward the best that he can and past John Forbes. And one of the most consistent drivers here in the last couple of weeks, the 42 of Cole Sacchetti. Last 2 weeks finished 2nd place, but marching for a win potentially. And could tonight be the night as right on board the 13, getting a sense of what it's watching our top 6 drivers side by side for some, trying to ink that extra speed on the inside. Say, Josh, this is looking pretty smooth for the drivers that are on the inside lane.
Yeah, so far so good, Sam. It looks like everyone's kind of minding their P's and Q's and, kind of collecting a little bit of data early like we talked about. Not a whole lot of information to go off of. You can see the side-by-side racing here in 3 and 4 as Cole Sacchetti's going to take a peek to the inside of Cedric Hunter. But, yeah, I think right now it's kind of in the early stages. Everyone kind of feeling everything out. We will have that competition caution at lap 40 if no caution comes out prior. So I think everyone's just kind of feeling things out and seeing what their car is capable of right now.
Everyone's settling in front 2. Now turn it into our front 3. Brian P. Johnson is joining the crew up front of Nelson and Heater. And really everyone in our front pack starting to close in. Was that maybe too quick of a jump for Heater and Nelson pulling away? We've heard a lot throughout this season on the fact that we talk about dirty air with the trucks, and as well for the Xfinity car on Monday and Tuesday night here on Freaking Fast Broadcasting. Dirty air really not a fact we usually talk about now with these Gen 4 Cup cars. More about the driver's preferences on how they want to be aggressive, as Brad Delphin seems to think about being on the inside there and get aggressive on John Forbes. Seen Douglas Newbigin also trying to make the moves forward. But I think that's the one thing that is so different and makes this car so much more fun to watch is the fact, Josh, there is not a major dirty air factor that we always talk about in these other series.
Yeah, I agree, Sam. And, I was just talking to this about with my teammate Rob Shearwood, I think today, actually. Well, shout out to him. I know he's watching our broadcast right now. But, yeah, that's what makes this car so much fun, Sam, is you feel like you've got a little bit more control to kind of maneuver when you're in line. And compared to some of the other cars, you kind of feel like you're stuck. You hit that wall of air, we call it, or almost like a bubble that you have to try to penetrate. And this car, it really gives you a little bit more flexibility and freedom to kind of put it where you want to and, make the most out of it and not get so bogged down.
As we're watching on board, seeing Joshua Canada, Ollie Fonseca, Isaiah Sutherland trying to make their way forward. I misspoke. That front driver up front in the red was actually Shane Terry. And here's where we find Brad Delph falling all the way back to 18 positions, lost 8 positions, really been clustered up, driving around the likes of Danny Cochran. And these 2 drivers really starting to lose the gap to the front 15 in front of them.
Yeah, these guys are just kind of right at that meeting point I always like to talk about, right? Like right outside the top 15. You got a couple fast guys back there. Ross Tatum didn't put a qualifying lap. He's starting to march his way forward. So this is kind of the meeting point that I like to talk about, kind of your comers and goers, the drivers that are kind of dropping off, and then the other drivers that are moving forward through the pack. So can definitely make it kind of the eye of the storm, so to say.
Riding on board with the 88 of Noah Steele. Let's not move from where he qualified 22nd place. Trying to figure out, does he want to roll high? Is there some extra speed there? But instead, it's going to be Ross Tatum trying to bounce to the inside. Speaking about bouncing around for the lead, Brian P. Johnson, outside lane, the 28, making a move for himself. He has moved up 4 spots to get to this lead position. And I got to say, this 28 is looking mad fast at this time. And the Season 1 champ looking quick as well for Larry Yingling. This could be the race that we finally see those past champions maybe get into victory lane.
Yeah, Brian P. Johnson did a really good job of utilizing that second lane in 1 and 2, Sam, that we're not normally going to see in the newer layout. So he's running just a little bit higher there. Really, really good, strong exit there. And Benjamin Nelson doesn't want to quite give it up, but I think Brian P. Johnson's going to be able to take it from him. And Larry Yingling's not far behind either.
Larry is just waiting in the wings on how he wants to attack moving forward. Brian P. Johnson's done a great job to move up into this lead position, qualified fifth. Decided to make that march forward, and it's around that swing area. We always talk about anywhere from 10 to 20 laps it will run. Drivers that weren't protecting their tires might start to fall back. Those that are being aggressive, they might start to feel that sensation of the grid falling away. Just protecting your tires. This is Goat Saba Nelson. Like I said, not giving up, but he's still at the quarter panel, marching low, and watch the speed off the exit 79, making the chance for the pass.
Yeah, he's got a quarter panel right to the inside of him. He is not letting Brian P. Johnson get away. He's going to dive it down low in 3 and 4, Sam, and try to take back that lead.
And does a slide job move, able to keep the lead pass. Will there be a crossover? And for the 28, Brian P. Johnson not going to be attacking just yet to take that lead spot. But at least a good showing of, hey, I've got the speed. I can make the move for the pass for the lead. Now we'll just settle in and stay behind the 79. As we have been green, we will give you the notification. Yes, there is a competition caution. There's a competition caution at every race this season. Tonight's number is at the end of lap 45, unless there's an early yellow that comes out before then, which I know the drivers hate to hear this, but it's a pattern we have to bring up. There has been a yellow before a competition caution at every race so far this season. But tonight, finally get to that magic number.
Well, we could, Sam. You know, every time we tend to talk about things like that, you know, the opposite seems to happen. But so far, everything's very clean and green. Everyone's kind of minding their P's and Q's, kind of running single file for the most part. A couple battles brewing, you know, toward, you know, looks like this for, what's this, 5th or 6th place right here. Shane Tyrion moving forward. We don't normally see him in the red Dodge scheme here. It's normally the evil controllers on board for Shane Tyrion, but he's doing a really good job moving forward so far on the inside of Cole Sacchetti right here.
Yeah, it threw me off. I was so used to seeing that black and green for Shane Tyrion. I thought it was Brad Delph just having an incredible run up front. Instead, it's the 9 machine up to 5th place, qualified in 11th position, up 6 spots so far, and a great run for Shane Tyrion. As behind him, he's getting a great view of Cole Sacchetti, Douglas Newbegin. They've been side by side for a while now for 6th place. They continue to keep the battling going on, and I hate to say it, but James Heater doing the regular thing, showing quickness in qualifying, but then falling back to 8th place. That long run speed just not there for the 18 here tonight, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like he's hurting a little bit here on the long run, and you know, it's tough. You know, some guys are comfortable going fast, you know, for a short period of time, and you know, most of these races that have a long run, green flag run tendency, you know, it really hurts the drivers that are good on the short runs. So, you know, hopefully James can kind of settle in here and, you know, still be in contention before it's all said and done.
Also saw a black car moving to the outside. That's going to be Larry Yingling, who has been passed already by Zach Hall. Zach Hall seems to be on his push. He'll try to maybe go touch the lead position as the 67 trying to hold steady. The outside lane looking quick for the 42 Cole Sacchetti. Got by Douglas Newbegin, now setting up Shane Tyrion for the 42, who's trying to go for potentially his third second place finish here tonight, but hoping to crack that code, get into first place, and become the 7th different winner this season. We were kind of talking about that before we went live, of this season, with the competition level and the amount of drivers that have yet to win, there's a chance we can go this whole entire regular season and have a different winner every single race. As we fall back to 12th position and see that of Isaiah Sutherland, one of the faster drivers since he started showing up, battling with Christopher Norris off the exit of 4.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Sam. And, you know, to be completely honest with you, I would not be surprised if we had a different winner. Oh, that was very close there by the 99, throwing it in there. But I would not be surprised if we did have a different winner every week, Sam. Just the amount of talent we always talk about in this league, and the guys that have not even won a race yet this season. Would not be surprised at all if we get another new winner tonight.
And seeing battling going on for 18th position. Ken Campbell, Ollie Fonseca, as well as seen slipping and sliding by that 24 of Ollie, as Ross Tatum trying to make his way forward. The biggest mover so far tonight, the 21 of Ross Tatum. Once again, the tail of the tape that's been all season long. Not qualifying is the 21 and just trying to march his way forward. And I'm curious if maybe it's a tactic that he's trying to take for himself. Same for Chris Stitz, of not wanting to get too ahead of themselves on qualifying well, but trying to learn what the draft package and driving through the traffic could be like, so he can take this knowledge to Thursday nights when they're running for their championship in the Start the Stripe series.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is, Sam. You know, I'm pretty close friends with Ross, and he tends to talk about how he likes to use this league is really just, you know, getting reps in and getting practice. And, you know, that's why he starts in the back a lot of times, is he likes to practice driving through people and seeing, you know, how well he can maneuver. You talk about dirty air and it not affecting these cars as much, but getting extra reps. I think this is his third different league he runs these Gen 4 cars in. So yeah, definitely getting practice for Thursdays in the Stars and Stripes, which Freaky Fest will be broadcasting pretty soon tomorrow, I believe.
Tomorrow night is going to be our next broadcast, last one of the week before we get the weekend off. And Ross Tatum's been running very well. Tight movement on the backstretch between 21, 77, and 17. Ryan Noel tied with the biggest mover. That's 77, looking strong on the long run as he is working the outside lane, but so close to one another. We have seen the rear ends and the front bumpers not mixing well, and with how close these drivers are, you gotta be careful with getting as close as they've been between that of Ross Tatum and Noel as they're closing in on Brandon Colley. Last two positions is the one, as Danny Cochran in the two right in front of these drivers seems to be the driver that's really out of control currently.
Yeah, the handling's really starting to go away on a couple of these cars back here, Sam. You can see them slipping and sliding around, and that's when you got to be really careful getting back into the gas where that back end wants to dance around. And it gets really sketchy when it starts doing that on the straightaway. So, you know, you kind of get used to managing it in the corners, but as the run goes on and you're fighting it that bad on the straightaway, that's when it gets really sketchy.
As we fall back and see some of the other drivers further back in the field, you're going to have Thomas Walter in 57, Tyler Dangler right on top of one another. This is kind of the last big pack we're going to have. This is drivers from 25th back to 30th, all in this grouping. And for some drivers, maybe they're not running for a championship run. They're more so just trying to have a good time. You got your cluster of drivers who are always around week in and week out that you're personally just trying to beat. This is a fun group to watch. I think later on could be a good one of who can go for that inside of the top 25 finish. As you see, Brandon Zimmerman, who almost had a chance for a good run, but deeper in the field, you got James Kaufman, and all the way back in last place, we got Brian with an eye, Johnson, who's out here. And I think the biggest thing for Brian in the 08, he's just out here to have fun. This 08 not going for maximum speed, but just wanted to be a part of a group, a community, and be a part of a learning experience of being around some of these fast drivers. And he certainly has learned a lot, but those fast drivers are catching up quickly, as it's Benjamin Nelson already a full second ahead of second place. This 79, once he got the lead, has been on rails, trying to pull away from Zach Hall.
Yeah, I was curious to see what was going to happen, Sam, because Brian P. Johnson did catch the 79, and he even passed him at one point. But, you know, Benjamin Nelson decided just to hang with him, and you could tell he really wanted that lead back. And I think this is a big night for Benjamin Nelson. He's already got that win. He's lost into the playoffs, but we've noted it, Sam. The luck has just not really been there for Benjamin Nelson, and I think a lot of it has just been due to some poor qualifying efforts and kind of getting caught up in messes that weren't necessarily his fault, just kind of being at the wrong place, wrong time. But you know, we talk about it all the time. When you qualify up front, you put yourself in a really good position. He started on the front row tonight, and he hasn't really looked back.
Has not took that lead position and is just running consistent lap times. But drivers that are inside of our top five, that is looking quick. Going to be the 42, Cole Sacchetti, has caught up to the rear end of Brian P. Johnson and trying to make the pass for third at this moment. That rear end's been kicking out, but keeping the speed. And that's something that's also very interesting with this vehicle is if we saw the amount of slipping and sliding off the exit of the corners in a next-gen car, the trucks or the Xfinity, we would be shouting, they're losing time, they're losing speed. But it looks like with this vehicle, when we come to the mile and a half, you see a driver slipping and sliding. It's kind of Are they keeping the speed, or was that slip and slide in keeping them on the edge of keeping their momentum off the corners? And it's always a flip of a coin of what you're about to see when these drivers hit the back stretch or the front stretch.
Yeah, that's what we like to call driving off the right rear there, Sam, because that's when it's fun. I feel like most drivers prefer a looser car because it kind of puts it more in the driver's hands where you can kind of manipulate it a little bit more. I hate driving off the right front because that's when that right front it's worn out and you get tight. And at least for me personally, I don't feel like I can do as much with a tight car because you just have to roll out of the gas so soon. But you know, driving off the right rear, you can kind of hang that back and out in the air, and you know, it's really up to you how much you can get on the throttle and kind of make and create speed, and be right on the you know, razor edge, so to say. And if you overstep, it could be trouble, but if you hit it just right, you can create a lot of speed.
You certainly can. Some of these drivers are really getting up and riding. That of Isaiah Sutherland has been cruising up 11 positions from where he started back in 18th, up 7th. Same, up 11 spots as Kyle Rochelle in 10th place, part of this grouping that we see on screen, that 99 in the gray. He's done a great job moving forward. And as we're seeing drivers moving forward and showing a lot of speed, James Heater continues to fall back, but he's not the only one. Behind the 18 is also the 11 of John Forbes that's going backwards. Very different type of a race for these drivers, but they're about 10 laps away from our competition caution. We will be having a yellow thrown that could help them learn, hey, when we're pushing too aggressively, not pushing enough, a lot of knowledge can be learned in these first 45 laps.
Yeah, that's what these drivers are going to be able to look forward to, is that first pit stop. That you can take a look at your tires, take a look at the right front, the right rear, and figure out, okay, if the right front is wearing more, then you're driving it in too deep probably. If it's the right rear, then you're sliding around too much. So they'll be able to look at that, take that data in, and make some adjustments.
As you see, our weather going to be on the top. It is a very cold day for these drivers. 65 degrees ambient temperature. It's partly cloudy, but you can see the cloud coverage. It has made it very dark on the track, but the track temp still pretty warm. 91 degrees on the little bit of the higher end, but kind of a medium heat that these drivers are dealing with. If it was any higher than 100, I think they would be screaming for rubber every time they came into pit road. But right now, the track is starting to lighten back up as the clouds move away from the sun.
Yeah, as the track heats up and the sun pokes out, I feel like it's gonna be a little slicker. Sometimes when we get some cloud cover, you know, we talk about, you know, mile and a half being really temperature sensitive when it comes to you know, weather. So be interesting to see how the track changes. Ross Tatum throws it on the outside right here.
Going to the outside, same with that Chris Stitz. They've been working together. Tatum almost brushing the outside wall, forcing Fonseca to be aggressive to the inside, making some quick invasive maneuvers to make sure they do not get collected with one another. And everyone's feeling the heat now. The rear end is wiggling at every time you exit out of these corners. You've got to be precise on when you get back into the throttle. It's allowing some drivers to gain time, those losing ground. And currently up front, Benjamin Nelson builds up a lead to over a second. He's now almost down to a half a second. Zach Hall, Brian P. Johnson are closing in on the 74 as we're marching to lap 40.
And Sam, we talk about momentum all the time. Zach Hall got a big win last night in the full sim series at Iowa. He's carrying that momentum right into tonight. Zach Hall, another one of those drivers who hasn't won a race yet this season, and is very capable, we know, of going to victory lane. So could tonight be the night for Zach Hall?
He's hoping that it can be. So far this season, he's had 2 top 5 finishes. His first one was at Las Vegas, his second at Darlington. It's been a pretty up and down, very inconsistent season so far. But at this moment, looking quick, 5 laps to go until our competition caution comes out. There's no bonus points to be grabbed, but this yellow could help out the drivers on just trying to reset, change up that mentality on how a long run can go. And I gotta say, Zach Hall is looking very clean for himself. But a driver does come into pit road with 5 laps to go. Christopher Wade making an emergency pit stop for the 53.
Yeah, interesting to see what's going on with Christopher Wade there stopping in the pits. But as we talk about that, Sam, I'm looking at the leaderboard here. Obviously, Benjamin Nelson's gotten a win, but second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, all drivers who have not been to victory lane yet this season, Sam. So it just goes to show the talent.
Talent is high. Who can get themselves in victory lane? Race control for drivers. Pit road will close when there's 2 laps to go in this competition caution. You've got to make sure if you're going to come into pit road and make a strategy call, now could be the time. As Cedric Connor making these moves and Cole Sacchetti hitting pit road for the 42 machine. So some drivers feeling like an early pit stop, getting up front could be the better call instead of trying to just stay out till the competition yellow.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this is going to pay off, Sam, because generally speaking, on a mile and a half, you tend to go a lap down when you pit. So, I'm curious to see, what their strategy call is by Cole Sacchetti here.
It looks to be everyone that has come into pit road so far, it has been just a splash and go for all of them, except for Brad Delph, who's currently 1 lap down, almost 2 laps down. Isaiah Sutherland into pit road. Kyle Rochelle hitting pit road. It's a cluster of drivers right when pit road closes that hit pit road, and now no longer anyone can. 2 laps to go in this competition yellow, and everyone's realizing this is crunch time. Didn't think fuel was going to be an issue, but when these drivers are running, maybe they do have to be slightly concerned.
Yeah, some of these guys may have been pushing it a little too hard, Sam, and maybe, you had to save just a lap or so to make it, and maybe these guys couldn't make it all the way to lap 45.
And for these drivers that are pitting now, a lot of them are not able to stay on the lead lap, so they're going to have to take the wave around. Currently, if the competition yellow was once it comes out, it'd be Cole Sacchetti getting that lucky dog spot at this current moment, as Benjamin Nelson coming through 3 and 4, 74 looking great for himself, keeping the lead, slowing down for himself, coming across the line, and that will be the yellow for the stage.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the fuel window was for these guys, Sam, but I'd be willing to bet a lot of these guys were pushing it on fumes here, possibly. So maybe that's why we saw so many guys dive to pit road. And we could see some penalties as well, Sam, if guys came in and pitted once pits were closed.
I believe everyone that did pit, they did come into pit road before officially pit road was closed. And so though those drivers that did come in, no penalties are expected to be given. But a lot of clutching action was going on. I hopped on board with Zach Hall as well as Benjamin Nelson to look at those last couple of laps, and they were clutching through the corners, and they do have enough fuel. They'll make it into pit road. Big scare, I think, and that's going to be something curious to look at if we stay green for a longer stint, as Nelson will be taking our stage. We'll take, we could call the stage, but our competition yellow victory. No bonus points, but good knowledge to be taken in of, hey, 45 laps, 50 laps, could be a wild number if you can hit that if we go into a long green flag run later on here tonight.
And a couple things of note, Sam, we talked about Cole Sacchetti being really strong and being a contender. Well, he's going to be our lucky dog, but he's going to lose all that track position. He was up in the top 5, and it looks like, depending on how everything cycles out, I think he's going to be outside the top 25 now.
But I'm looking at drivers that made their way through the field. Brian Noel, who started out with an EOL, he had moved up inside of our top 15 before these drivers came into pit road. So I think it is possible to rebound from this and get a decent finish. It's just going to take a little bit of work for themselves as Nelson exits pit road and will be our winner, you could say, of the stage. So let's get our thoughts of how the 79 is feeling out there on track after being the lead driver of a competition caution. We'll queue up that 79. Benjamin Nelson, it's Sam and Josh up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you. Sorry about that chatter.
No problem, Ben. You find yourself being up front. You were challenged a couple of times during those first 45 laps. Man, how are you feeling, and how's that car feeling? Because it looked like it was getting close on fuel.
Yeah, pretty much that whole run. We were concerned about fuel. It was right at the edge of the window. Car feels really good. Super balanced if you don't hate the tires, I think we got a good shot at this one. I just got to keep the tires on it and don't screw the strategy up.
Hey, Benjamin, we talked about, throughout the race, is this a statement race for you right now? Because I know you've had a little bit of bad luck, gotten caught up in some incidents as of late the last couple races. We know you have that win already in the books, but is this a statement type of race for you today so far?
Well, I mean, I would think maybe, but that's not really for me to decide. Um, I'm just trying to do my best. I love this track, so I did put myself in a few bad positions in last couple races, so I can't really blame everyone else for that. That's mostly my fault. So trying to correct those.
Well, Ben, you've been looking strong so far, and we hope to be talking to you later on tonight. We'll send you back to your team, but good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Well, that is going to be the 79 machine of Benjamin Nelson, who's running with the Snowy Desert Racing team. Also part of that team, Brian P. Johnson, Zach Hall, Christopher Norris. Strong team that they have, and majority of them being up front. They're hoping that that strength can continue forward. I mean, Josh, hearing from Ben, seems like he's loving this vehicle so far.
Yeah, it sounds like he's loving it, and he talked about this being a strong track for him. So, he sounded a little humble in the interview there, but he's putting it to these guys tonight so far. I know we had Zach Hall and Brian P. Johnson, a couple different challengers, kind of sneaking up toward him. But so far, it's been Benjamin Nelson's race to lose at the moment.
Benjamin Nelson also, we know, is a very strong driver. He's been in iRacing for quite a long time, formerly a part of the Peak Antifreeze series that's now kind of transferred into the Coke series. And so this 79 knows how to run around this tough competition, and the drivers are running this series overall, top to bottom. It's been a strong one. But could we finally see the first driver to get a second win of the season? Benjamin Nelson looking to be that driver here tonight. Pace car lights are off. We're stacked up and ready to get back to Green Flag Racing. Thank you for joining with us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Race number 7, no more competition cautions. We can stay green until the end, is back to Green Flag Racing in the 79, taking the early go. Douglas Newbigin going to be on the outside lane. The 7 trying to hold for second place, but Brian P. Johnson fights right on back.
Yeah, Brian P. Johnson's going to drive it down in the corner, and he's going to take second place. And Douglas Newbigin's going to get loose on the bottom now.
Leg wiggle for the 7, keeps it off the inside wall, and now going to be just slotted in, losing from 3rd, back to 6th place, but at least close enough to stay in the action. The 13 of Cedric Hunter in front of him having a slight wiggle, and the fresh tires for some is showing some anger at this time. Wasn't expected to see that. Chris Stinson to the outside wall. Fresh rubber is not comfortable right now for the field.
Yeah, cold tire temp, Sam, and these guys, got to get used to being on new tires again. And man, I thought that could have been really big for Douglas Newbigin. He had that thing sideways in front of the field there, so really good save by him. But yeah, tough break for Chris Stitz. Thankfully, we talk about the damage model not being too hard in these cars, Sam. So, hopefully he'll be okay here.
Well, I think I might have found out why. Those cold tires in this track is hot. We talked about it before. The track temp, when it was super cooled off, the track was covered by the clouds for quite a while. The track temp dropped all the way down to 91 degrees. Currently, it's up to 104 degrees. And with fresh rubber, this is not a kind track state for this field. They're feeling that slickness. If you looked in chat, Zach even threw it out there. Slick is the track right now, and they're feeling it at this time.
Yeah, that's a massive difference, Sam. Almost 13 degrees difference on the track temp there. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be a massive change for these drivers down here. And a lot of them look like they're just holding on right now.
And there's going to be Jonathan Doxwell, one of those that are really holding on all the way up to the outside lane and just try to slot into somewhere comfortable. Also, all the way back here, Kyle Rochelle, who was a lap down. Again, we've got a grouping of 5 drivers that are all 1 lap down, trying to fight to be the first car lap down. Just in case yellow flag comes out, they'll get that lucky dog spot. And that's Kyle Rochelle in the 99, Ryan Noel in the 77, Christopher Wade, Brad Delp, and Ryan with an I. Johnson. Going to be those 5 drivers, 1 lap down, banking on a yellow flag, getting them back into the mix. Cole Sketty, who got the lucky dog spot, had to start all the way back in last place. Well, he's moved up to the 22nd position. Not a bad restart here. Gotta say, Josh, by the 42.
Yeah, not a bad restart at all, but he's got a long way to go, Sam. He was solidly up in the top 5 beforehand, and now being back outside the top 20, he's got a lot of work to do to get back to where he was. But I have no doubts that Colt Saketa can do it. He's finished 2nd the last couple of weeks, and he's shown speed. he's been frustrated by that. You can tell. It's funny to me when a driver seems so upset after a second place finish, but he knows he can win, and he's capable of it.
Certainly is capable. Same teammates running around one another. Ollie Fonseca, Danny Cochran, going to be running side by side for a quick moment. Ollie's going to take the lead for 12, and in 13 is going to be the 2 as you're seeing the hot lap threads crew trying their best to get through this field as they've both been moving forward. Ollie up the most spots for between the 2, up 8 positions in the 24, just hoping to find some more consistency as it's the beginning of the second half of the regular season. This is crunch time. If you had a poor first 6 races of the season, this is crucial to have some good top 10, top 15 runs. If you've been struggling so far, and you see the 18, our pole sitter, James Heater, 11th position, able to stay up near that top 10, a little bit better here in the starting of the second run.
Yeah, we talked about him being fast on the short run, Sam, so I want to keep an eye on him as he's making a move now to try to get back into the top 10. I want to see if he can maintain this pace over the run, or is he going to move forward just, in the first 10, 15 laps and then drop off again?
And seeing drivers making their way forward, Christopher Norris trying to get by Nolan Hicks as Hicks on the outside lane. 86 had a great run, and he's showing some speed, muscling his way past the 38. Now going to keep it side by side with Shane Tarian in the 9. As they keep the 86 showing, hey, that outside lane can get working. It's the question of how much tire are you willing to give up, as also seen the 18. Saw the initial launch and said, I'll give it a try up there.
Yeah, Nolan Hitz had a really, really strong run at Bristol last week. Kind of came out of nowhere to finish solidly inside the top 5, and he's making that high line work right now.
And Nolan Hicks last week with that solid finish in 4th place. Found himself being the biggest mover in points, up 9 spots to be currently 28th in points. And if Nolan Hicks has a solid day, gets in a victory lane, hey, that could be putting the 86 back to a fight for a chance to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it before we came on air, Sam, and it's going to be interesting as the weeks click by, since we're about halfway through the regular season now. As we start clicking and getting closer to the playoffs, it's going to be fun to keep an eye on the points battle and see as we get new winners how much the point situation changes over the weeks.
Yeah, those points, top 16 drivers make it into the playoffs, but if you win, you're automatically locked in, but you have to make sure you're inside the top 25 in points for that win to keep you eligible. There's a few drivers that are just inside, being John Forbes, who just won last week. He moves 24th in points, so his win now makes him eligible to be into the playoffs, which would actually kick out the 15 of Ken Campbell, who's side by side with 18 Machine. And Shane Tarian, currently our points leader, the controller driver, been showing out, and honestly everyone in this series has been completely flabbergasted on the fact that the 9 is running in a controller and how consistent and in control the 9 looks when he's out there on track.
Yeah, it's been a big topic of debate, I can tell you, across multiple different leagues, as if is it fair to be on a controller versus on a wheel or not. So I know he'll probably argue that it's harder to drive on a controller, but I know that's a pretty intense debate if you ask a lot of drivers, if they think the controller should be allowed in the league. So, but hey, whatever floats your boat. Shane does a good job with it, and yeah, that's what he chooses to do.
Shane has been quick. Winner of Rockingham back at race number 2, still searching for a chance to get back into the fight as Christopher Norris up to 9th position. He's watching Ken Campbell, Ross Tatum, James Heater, Nolan Hicks, all on top of one another. This grouping is really putting on a great show of keeping it close, hot and heavy, and makes some big moves. And James Heater thought about going 3 wide, thought better of it, falls back in line as they're trying to get by Nolan Hicks. And Hicks was aggressive, showed some great speed, but I think that over-aggression on the outside now starting to show that weakness as this run has progressed.
Yeah, all these guys battling right outside the top 10 here, so a lot of new names starting to come forward here. Danny Cochran having a really good run tonight. What I want to see out of Danny Cochran and Ollie Fonseca, the 2 teammates, these guys seem to do a really good job of moving forward throughout the race, but for some reason it just seems like they can't quite finish it out. So doing a really good job moving forward right now. I want to see them put a full race together and get a solid finish tonight.
John Forbes in the 11 machine, winner of last week. He has only ran 3 races this season, missing out on our 2 other mile-and-a-half races. So this is a real first time for the series being here at Texas 09, but our first time getting to see the 11 in the mile-and-a-half courses with this Gen 4 car. Qualified 6, had a great qualifying run, who lost quite a bit of time. He was back there with James Heater on losing ground before our competition caution yellow came out. But the 11 rebounds back in up inside of our top 10, looking quick, and Shane Tarian has decided to follow suit on trying to attack the drivers inside of our top 4.
Yeah, and for John Forbes, we talked about it, Sam. You know, we'll keep an eye on this, but since he's got that win, but since he's missed so many races, he still has to be in the top 25 in points for his win to count toward the playoffs. So, you know, but runs like this, really strong up inside the top 5 right now, that's going to go a long way to moving him up in the points.
Brandon Colley's update, as we know Colley's mom's out there in chat. The 1 machine in 20th position, qualified 16th, has lost a couple of spots, but right now part of the drivers that are trying to move their way forward. Tapped an interesting thing here by the 1 though. He was inside of our top 15 when the competition yellow came out back at the end of lap 45. But pit stops very different for the 1. One of the few drivers deciding to top off on fuel right before we went back to green. That's why he's so far back in the field, going with a little bit of strategy call, which it's helped out the 1 in the past. It's what gave him the chance at Darlington. Why not get a little bit more gutsy?
Yeah, I feel like we're going to be a little too far out to try to make it on one stop, Sam, because when we went green, we were right at about 100 to go. If these guys were right on the edge of their fuel windows at lap 45, that means they're going to have to save 5 laps each run, so a total of 10 laps saved. I don't know if it's going to be, you know, if anyone's going to be able to do that, but coming and topping off, it gives you more options to where as guys start pitting, if you can stay out a little longer, maybe catch a caution with some guys on cold tires, you know, that's what put them in position to win at Darlington. So, you know, why not try the same strategy?
And once you get a win and you're comfortably inside of the top 25 points, it gives you those options to try some gutsy moves, which gutsy could be named for this grouping that we're seeing on screen. Ollie Fonseca, 18th place, and also seeing lap down driver Brian Noel currently in the lucky dog spot. The 77 has been very aggressively trying to move forward, but it's a battle within a battle because you've got Ollie Fonseca trying to hold off the 2 lap machines. It's Noel and Sutherland battling side by side for the lucky dog spot, but they're also battling for position in 28th, 29th around the 18th position driver.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch throughout the field because we talk about individual battles all the time, and that's exactly what this is right now. You know, the 77 of Brian Noel and the 14 of Isaiah Sutherland, you know, they want to be in this lucky dog position because if a caution strikes, whoever's that first car lap down is going to get the free pass and get back on the lead lap. So that could be a game changer, Sam. So you want to be in that lucky dog position as long as you possibly can.
Absolutely could be a game changer, and Brian Noel looks to be on the move as he's able to get clear of Sutherland, now setting up to get by Ollie Fonseca. But other drivers are trying to set up for some big moves. Up front, Benjamin Nelson once again pulling out to over a half a second gap lead, and being reined back in is Brian P. Johnson and Zach Hall, top 3, pulling away from the rest of the field. New driver in 4th, that's Shane Tarian, able to get by Larry Yingling. Is seeing this field, how are they going to ebb and flow? And it looks to be Benjamin Nelson once again just staying so consistent in the lead position.
Yeah, I'm curious to see as the run goes on, Sam. I've got my eye on the 32 of Zach Hall. As dominant as Benjamin Nelson has been, right before we got that stage caution or competition caution, Zach had crept up to second, and he was starting to reel in the 79. So I know Zach does a really, really good job of saving his tires on the long run. I mean, shoot, I saw him even last night when I would drive by him on the short run, and then he would blow back by me and pull away. So he's one of those guys that we like to talk about that's really, really good at tire management, and I think this could be you know, in his wheelhouse tonight as well.
Well, tire management is going to be a big thing. Fuel run as well. Fuel strategy is going to be a margin of when and where do you want to come into pit road. And we saw the fuel saving. Drivers were really being aggressive on saving their fuel to just make it to the competition yellow. I'm curious if they're going to think the complete opposite for this run. Just be aggressive. use up all that fuel, because if you're being aggressive, it sets to where if you're pitting slightly early, you're gonna have a decent run to try to pull away at that last stage where you don't have to worry about your tires.
Well, you're exactly right, Sam. And as we get into the later portions of this race, we're exactly halfway right now. So we got about 75 laps to go already, which is crazy to say. But you know, if we went back green, you know, you've really got two options. You can kind of split this race into 2 stops, or you can almost split it into 3 segments. So if you do 3 segments, you can kind of split it at 33 laps each, which I think we might see, you know, a wave of cars come in around then. And then the other option is just to run it dry, essentially, and then, you know, maybe you're just taking a splash on that last stop.
This field is primarily single-filed out. Those are inside of our top 7 in a pretty good cluster. And then back in 8th place, driver that has moved forward, one of the first that did not qualify, Ross Tatum, 21, inside of our top 10, showing that you can work your way through the field. The 21 has done a great job at that. Also, with that reference of working your way through the field, Cole Sketty up to 15th, but Ross has done it. Josh, I mean, he's learned, he's been aggressive, and it's worked out up to 8th place.
Yeah, I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not, Sam. We have a little joke in our group chat that, you know, we'll always ask Ross how he's feeling, and, you know, he'll say, I'm feeling okay, or I'm not feeling that great, and then all of a sudden there he is battling for the win. So it's one of the most annoying things when you ask him, and he's like, yeah, I'm not feeling that great about it, and then, you know, you look on top of the leaderboard, and there he is. So really strong run by Ross Tatum tonight, up 25 spots, and who knows, he could be a factor before this thing's over.
Could be a major one. Well, for us up at the booth, the drivers are keeping it clean and green, as we're going to be taking our first commercial break as we're past the halfway marker. Thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. You're watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series Season 7, Race 7, here at the Texas 09 configuration. It's been a good one so far. Thank you once again. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it's pit stop time. We'll see you in a few. They're 5 wide behind for 5th.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at him, that's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes.
Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crumford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity diving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck him.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much
of side drifting off of, and they gotta be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the racing action on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series as pit stops are underway. A lot of early pit stops. I was not expecting to see this, Josh. Drivers pitting in a lot sooner. I thought we were going to see a lot of drivers trying to stretch it at least 40 laps into a run. Some coming in at 30, and those a lot of major scares as Josh Kanata a little bit more aggressively into his box, makes it through, but drivers still waiting to come into pit road, and here comes drivers into pit road up front. It's Benjamin Nelson making his stop.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of these guys are starting to kind of go with the, split it into 3 different segments here, kind of run 33, 33, 33 if they can. So, if this goes green, they could take tires at both the 33 segments and run that last stage 33 laps. But, then you've got other drivers who are electing to stay out. Brian P. Johnson, Zach Hall are drivers among that are electing to stay out longer. So we'll see which strategy is going to be the right one, Sam.
I mean, for a lot of these drivers, it's going to be how do you maximize and minimize the mistakes. One driver has already made a massive one, that being Ross Tatum, caught speeding on injury. He had to have a 40-second hold. A 21 race could be done as more drivers into pit road. Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, new bigging, but the driver that's still out there, it's Brian P. Johnson, and for this group, they technically can stay out until that of lap almost 90 with the time that they came to pit road. So they only got a couple of more laps until they can really are going to be forced to pit road.
Yeah, this is where we like to see, what's going to be the right strategy, right? We talked about this is how Brandon Colley got in position and won that race at Darlington. He stayed out on a long green flag run, got the caution, he got the track position, and was able to capitalize. So looks like Brian P. Johnson's trying that strategy right now. Larry Yingling as well as Nolan Hitz, who had a strong run last week.
Had a strong run, hoping for that momentum to carry forward for themselves as we are making their pit stops, trying to stay out of trouble. We want to give a big shout out to our sponsors as we're back to racing action with the drivers coming through this race. For some, they need to stay alert, and if you're trying to stay alert throughout the day, go get yourself some Roasted Gems coffee, premium coffee that can allow you to stay awake and also with great flavors. I got plenty of different blends to check out. Go to roastedgems.com and use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. As you saw that of the 28 hit pit road, that goes to our other sponsor, Trophy Smack. If you got some great moments that you want to show off, go to trophysmack.com. Go get their wall smack. It's a metal plate you can set up to a wall with their magnet safe mounting system. And you remember to use the promo code WSSR Smack. Now, WSSR Smack is currently the only code to use for these drivers, as you will get 10% off going to trophysmack.com. As those that are on older tires right now, Josh, the wheeling and dealing is still going on, but Larry Yingling looking quick, but Noah Steele looking a little bit nervous in the 88 machine.
Yeah, I'm looking at my timing and scoring, Sam, and it looks like our top 4 have still not pitted. The first one to stop was Shane Tyrion at lap 80, and he's up to P5 right now. So he's ahead of Benjamin Nelson by about 2 seconds. So going to be interesting to keep an eye on the battle between Tyrion and Nelson.
And also, with drivers coming into pit road, this is your chance to go for that Rocket Man Award. Fastest lap gets 1 bonus point. Currently, the driver with that Rocket Man Award, instead of 13, is Cedric Hunter with a 29.355 second lap time. As Noah Steele, Colley, still out on track. Steele expected to come into pit road this lap. Colley technically could go a little bit further than everyone else due to the fact that he found himself topping off on fuel right before we went green, as Steele has to make the aggressive move, hits pit road, and the 1 stays out. But that was the one thing I was curious for. The 1 was how aggressive was he willing to get into pit road, and for the 88 to get into pit road, and it worked out.
Well, we just about saw a caution there. Sam Douglas Newbigging threaded the needle there, had it 3 wide, was sliding down, and then the car dusted off and went to pit road just as that happened. So, caution could strike any moment here, and that's why these guys stay out and pull this strategy.
Got to pull the strategy call out, get yourself in a position for a great run. As talk about seeing Cedric Hunter with the fastest lap, will now give that over. It's 28 of Brian P. Johnson as Collie hits pit road. It'll be losing a lot of time, is the one machine, but expected to take all that time back as we go to the 9. A Shane Tarian lead driver, but for how long? The gap is dwindling away quickly, but it's up less. It was up to a second and a half. Now almost down to less than a second.
Yeah, Benjamin Nelson is coming in a hurry right now, Sam, and he's been the dominant car tonight. We've talked about it. We talked to him. We pulled him up in the booth after that competition caution, and he was feeling really, really good about it. And now it looks like Larry Yingling is the fastest car on track right now.
During qualifying, fastest lap for qualifying drivers was in the 28-second bracket in the race. It's been so crucial about saving fuel. So drivers have been almost a little bit under a second slower than what their potential fastest laps could be. Larry Yingling close to cracking the 28-second marker. It was a 29.0 second time for Larry Yingling, who is one of the fastest drivers out on track. We'll see if Brandon Colley, as he's trying to get through some of this traffic, the one now with the freshest of tires, can he put down the fastest lap?
He might be able to, Sam, but he's going to have to work his way around the 53 of Christopher Wade right here.
Getting past Wade, it's the backstretch, but Shane Tarian and also Benjamin Nelson. Nelson had a little bit of a scare as he was trying to get by Brock, who went down low, while Nelson thought he was going to have space to go past the 91. Slight block, but it's enough to slow down the 79 from making the pass on this lap. Instead, lap 97, going to be the lap that Benjamin Nelson's looking quick enough to get himself right on the back bumper. Expect this pass to be made on the exit of the corner. The momentum and speed is to Benjamin Nelson.
Yeah, don't look now if you're Shane Tarian, but here comes Benjamin Nelson. He's going to pull it down to the inside and should make light work of this. But Shane Tarian's going to fight back as long as he can, but I don't think he's going to have any match for Benjamin Nelson.
Absolutely not. It has to back out because that outside wall was sneaking up to the 9 machine. And with the way that these drivers all came into pit road, so many different strategy calls, because of the fact of it being, like you said, these drivers need to save 10 laps of fuel if they're going to turn this race from where competition yellow was to the end and turn this race into a one-stop. That looked almost impossible, and with that big of a wiggle room, drivers have to choose. Do you split the stints equally? Do you push some stints more aggressively and have longer runs, and then a couple of shorter ones at the end? Which now puts the drivers in a position where we've got Benjamin Nelson up front, but Zach Hall in third, who is a little bit less than 2.5 seconds back. He pitted just a lap later than Nelson, but he's so far back from the 79.
Yeah, he is. And then the next one you have to take a look at is Brian P. Johnson, Sam. He is making the move for third right now, and he pitted on lap 89. So he's got a little bit fresher tires. Looks like 4 lap fresher tires than our leader, Benjamin Nelson. So maybe Brian P. Johnson's got the right strategy right now.
And just by having that 4-lap advantage, he is 4/10 faster than Nelson. Ryan is flying 2 seconds back and expected to take the lead is the 28. And now it's down to, I think, you need those fresh tires. This next stop can be so crucial on if you come into pit road. If you're one of the lead drivers, you're banking on the fact that if you make an early stop, that the drivers behind you aren't close enough to close in on the gap.
Yeah, you got it, Sam. The decision, the race is going to be won or lost on this next pit stop. Because it looks like, I mean, based off what we were seeing from that first stint, drivers can go roughly 45 laps if they push it. So the fuel window is going to be open here, Sam, in the next 4 laps. So if anyone pits here in the next 4 laps, theoretically, they should have enough to make it to the end. So how early do you pit? Is that too early to pit? Oh, man, it's going to be fun to see what the right strategy call is, because it looks like tires are so important right now.
They certainly are going to be important. Or do you stretch the fuel out as long as you can and turn this race into a 20-lap shootout for some drivers? There's so many different decisions that you're going to have to make. for themselves. But Brian V. Johnson is now caught up to the 9. The battle for second got to be done and dusted very quickly. Zach Hall just trying to stay connected as well as he can. But all these drivers also have to be concerned because of the fact that the 67 Larry Yingling, he might be 5.5 seconds off of Benjamin Nelson, but he has the freshest tires of anyone inside of our top 10.
Yep, and now we see Brian P. Johnson looking to the outside of Shane Tiernan here for second place, and then Zach Hall is right behind him as well. So these guys all trying to move up and keep Benjamin Nelson in their sights, as he's got about a 2.5 second lead on everybody right now.
And there have been drivers that have called it a night already for themselves, that being the 53 in pit road as dealing with damage, and Ross Tatum has called it a night. So 31 drivers still out on track. Ross Tatum, reason why he called it quits, got that black flag, and we were talking about it before. I think for Ross and some other drivers, it's more of a knowledge racing series. They don't feel like they're fast enough maybe to compete with the top end and go for the championship. Instead, let's get the knowledge and take that knowledge to the other series we feel like we're running for a championship for.
Yeah, I know Ross is going to be super frustrated after tonight, because we talked about saying he drove from the back of the pack all the way up inside the top 10, and he was making really good hay. I don't know if he quite had enough pace to challenge our leaders at all with it staying green, but nevertheless, tough situation for Ross Tatum. He's going to park it tonight.
Looking at through the field, 7th place, Ken Campbell, Cedric Hunter, 9th is going to be Christopher Norris, John Forbes, all in this pack of 4. They're trying to all catch up to Cole Sacchetti. Had got the lucky dog at our competition yellow, and this 42 hit it on lap 85, and currently in 6th place. Ross talked about, talked about how Ross made his way through the field. Cole just did the same thing that the 21 did, but had the better stop. That's kept him up front, Josh, right now.
Yeah, really, really impressed with Cole Sacchetti here. I talked about how he's got a steep mountain in front of him. I think he was running right outside the top 20 when we last checked on him, and he's all the way up to P6 now, Sam. So he may be kicking himself if he doesn't get quite back to the leaders this race, but nevertheless, a really strong recovery for Cole Sacchetti.
Very strong, and it's been impressive to watch this 42 and the way that he has kept the mental fortitude in with the timing of coming into pit road, getting the lucky dog, helping him keep it stay in the fight. And here we go with these drivers fighting their way forward. We're inching closer and closer to 40 laps to go here tonight, and there's still one more pit stop to go before this race is done. And Josh, what's interesting about this race even more is we've only had that one caution. There were a couple of chances of drivers getting loose, getting into one another during that first 45 laps, but it didn't bring out a yellow. This race technically could stay green. This could be one of the first times this season that we have a run go green all the way through, except for the competition yellow.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Sam, and it's got that green flag look to it right now. And just a thing to note, we've got the green light now, Sam, so the fuel window is open, so keep an eye out if anyone dives to pit road, because they could make it to the end here. But like you said, Sam, I think our best chance of getting a caution is going to be when some of these guys come in, take tires, maybe have a little lower air pressure. You see the tire differential, when guys on fresh tires run up on guys with older tires. So that kind of mix could create something late. But it looks to be a pretty green flag look to the race right now.
It certainly has. There's been a couple of pods like this one. Hold on, Ollie. The 24 getting loose out of the exit of the corner, keeping himself side by side. Some drivers, though, because they're not in fuel saving mode, they've been aggressive. This little pod has been the most dangerous to watch out for. Noah Steele has been really struggling on the longer runs. Same for Ollie Fonseca. And Douglas Newbegin hasn't ran around these drivers. He's been one of the front runners for most of the season. Back here, just inside of our top 20. It's an odd place to see this 7B looming, but he's got to be careful with all the very close incidences that we've been seeing so far.
Yeah, you talk about these little packs, Sam, and Douglas Newbegin, he's been a very aggressive driver tonight. I've seen him a couple times kind of thread the needle, put himself in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, but so far so good. I haven't had any incidents from it, but man, we could have had one right there for sure.
That we certainly have, and now going to give each other space as they back away just slightly between the two drivers of the 7 and the 24. Move up to Joshua Kanata, who's just driving by the 18 of James Heater. And Kanata, once again, having a silent night, but a good one for the 16 machine, who finds himself trying to come off of last week's 16th place finish. Also, Darlington finished 26, but you look at all the rest of the races, he's just been solid. Top 11 finishes each and every week, and Kanata, not a big name, but solid enough that once we get in the playoffs, this 16 with consistency, that's to be someone to watch out for.
Yeah, not a super flashy night for Kanata. I mean, he qualified 17th, kind of mid-pack, and it's kind of where he's been all night, and he's kind of inching his way up forward here. He's running P12 right now, so, still a chance to maybe get up inside the top 10 before it's all said and done, Sam. But, not a flashy night for Kanata, but nevertheless a strong night.
Very strong night, trying to catch up to his ISRC rivals of Danny Cocker, John Forbes, and Christopher Norris, the next three drivers in front of the 16 machine. As we continue to have each lap tick away, the window of coming into pit road becomes to be a bigger question mark. I think the number I was thinking about was maybe 25 laps to go in this race. That would be the time to come to pit road, which would be around that 125 lap marker. But who would think about pitting earlier than that or later? It's going to be the big question of note, because right now it's looking like Benjamin Nelson that pitted just between the drivers that pitted in the middle of a green flag stint, and with the extreme undercut seems to be the sweet spot for that 79.
Yeah, I've been looking at the timing and scoring, Sam, and Brian Johnson has chipped away the lead. He's got it down to about a second right now, so not a huge margin of gain right now. I mean, but it looks like he's getting anywhere from about half a tenth to a tenth a lap on Benjamin Nelson. So, Brian Johnson, he's been up there. He's been fast all season. He's had some mechanical issues, some equipment issues that he's battled, a couple weeks in a row. So could be one to look out tonight. And he's another one that hasn't won a race yet, Sam.
Still looking for that first win for Brian P. Johnson, but first driver that's on the green flag run hitting pit road, in the lead lap run, James Heater in the 18, early pit stop for himself. He was up inside the top 15, now coming into pit road. This is the start of the window. Drivers are hitting pit road, and Benjamin Nelson not waiting. He'll be the first driver up front coming into pit road.
These are these guys, Sam, that we talked about kind of splitting this last 100 laps into thirds, and this is right around that mark, 33 laps to go. So big move here by Benjamin Nelson. Let's see how everyone else reacts.
And for Brian P. Johnson, again, he pitted about 6 laps later than when Nelson did before. Will he pit sooner to minimize the amount of time that he's going to lose? It's going to be around that of a second, almost a second and a half lost each lap. This 28 stays out on track. Zach Hall, I'm surprised he didn't think about doing an undercut, but Benjamin Nelson going with this call. Other drivers following suit, going to be Tyler Dangler, Ollie Fonseca, Cogswell hitting pit road, getting service done. 4 tires in fuel for the field, but this is critical. Do not get a black flag that can throw away this race, because you don't know when we might see another yellow flag come out. Drivers over the radio. Cedric Hunter coming into pit road. Chris Stitt's expected to hit pit road. It's about to get very busy here in the next 6 laps.
Yeah, pit stops are happening. This is the money stop for all these guys. And just a side note, Sam, very interesting to see Benjamin Nelson, the leader, make the first move. I feel like in most races, you kind of see, a guy around the top 5 kind of make the first move to pit road to try to do an undercut, but it looked like Benjamin Nelson wanted to make sure that no one was going to do that undercut on him, and he was the one that made the first move. So interesting to see how long all these guys stay out. It looks like Brian P. Johnson's going to hit pit road now.
Just waiting a few more laps, then that of Benjamin Nelson is going to be Brian B. Johnson, and Larry Yingling, who stayed out the longest of everyone instead of our top 10. He's only up to second now. Zach Hall over the radio screen. He's going into pit road. He's got the 91 on his back bumper, and others hoping he doesn't get ran over is Zach Hall, as he's got a very busy cluster behind him as the 32 goes into pit road, almost gets rear-ended. And also following to be Larry Yingling and many of others slowing down, hitting pit road. No black flags for anyone so far.
Yeah, really good job by all these guys getting on pit road. Could be really difficult, on old tires. It's going to be slick, but really strong job by all these guys getting to pit road. And what these guys are hoping, Sam, is that they put just enough laps in between Benjamin Nelson, so that they've got the fresher tires and are going to try to run him down now.
And with this rundown, 30 laps to go as Shane Terrian going to be the lead driver. Just waiting on Shane Terrian, Joshua Kanata to make their stops before they're done for tonight's race. A couple of others still waiting to hit pit road deeper in the field, but you see the 9 ripping away, hoping for a caution that could change the fate for himself. Same for Joshua Kanata, and for both of those drivers, they can push out again for just a couple of more laps, but they're about to be hitting that fuel window limit where they have to come into pit road.
Yeah, they're only going to have so many laps left, Sam. And here comes Shane Terrian now on pit road.
Terrian into pit road. Josh Kanata exiting out of 4 now. Will the 16 hit pit road? No, he'll stay out on track, and it's going to be having some danger behind him. Danny Cochran forcing the issue on the inside. The 2 goes cruising. Christopher Norris, John Forbes, they're trying to get by Kaufman and also Kanata. And the 16 just has to waste so much time and ground, letting all these faster drivers pass him on the inside. But if he has to come into pit road, he's almost got to slam on the brakes to let these drivers go by before he can slide back down.
Yeah, it looks like he's still running the high line, Sam, so I don't think he's coming to pit road yet. And no, he stays out another lap.
Needing a caution badly is Kanata. He's going to run it dry and bank on a yellow flag. And currently, right now, the drivers, once we see the 16 hit pit road, it's Benjamin Nelson, a 3.5 second gap lead over Brian Johnson. Johnson has a 3-lap advantage on tires, but is the gap too large as we're marching closer and closer to 25 laps to go? I think for Brian, he needs to be within 2 seconds of that of Nelson within the next 3 laps. As Kanata extremely wide on the entry, quick on into pit road, and I think he might have lucked out on not getting the black flag.
Wow, if he did not get a black flag there, that was really, really good driving by Kanata there. Really aggressive entry. But yeah, to your point, Sam, I don't believe there's enough time for Brian Johnson to get Benjamin Nelson, because there's not really that big of a difference. I mean, 3 tires, yeah, it's a difference, but I don't know if it's going to be enough with only 25 laps to go.
Also could come down to his lap traffic. Going to be a big thing for the 79 machine, as again, no reports. Joshua Kanata scaving away cleanly with how aggressive that entry was in the pit road. No black flag for the 16, but he falls all the way down to 20th position. The strategy didn't work out for the yellow that he's banking on. Now it's just salvage time for Joshua Kanata, as the drivers up front, it's Benjamin Nelson, Brian P. Johnson, Nelson in the clean air, Johnson in the complete hecticness of traffic currently. As the 28 trying to get by all these lap cars, and it's costing time. But once the 28 gets into clean air, that could be the changing factor to maybe be able to run down. But with 24 laps to go, will there be enough laps for this 28 machine?
Yeah, he's going to have to make hay pretty soon here. I have noticed that it looks like he is cutting down the lead, even in some of this traffic. So I think the telltale sign, Sam, is just going to be once he gets clear of this lap traffic and see how quick he can chop down this lead once he gets in clean air.
An update on Joshua Kanata. I was actually given misinformation on that one. It was a black flag to the 16. He was going to be having to deal with it, and now these drivers up front settle in. No one else is expected to hit pit road. It's all about what you have underneath your tires, underneath your machine now. Can the tires make it? The fuel should be good, unless, which is very rare, but we've seen it already this season, could auto fuel be something that becomes a factor into this race?
It very well could, Sam. I mean, if we happen to get a caution, or, I mean, sometimes with the auto fuel feature, it doesn't fill up as much as you might think it's going to, and there's been issues with that in the past. But I've got my eye now that Brian P. Johnson has cleared this lap traffic. 22 laps to go. He's about 2.1 seconds behind, so he's going to need about 0.2 a lap to get him there, Sam.
Going to need 0.2 a lap with 22 laps to go. Can the numbers be aligned for Brian P. Johnson? Other drivers behind, though, that are running for position. Closest of battles is going to be between Shane Terrian and Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran, as well as John Forbes, all on top of one another. Drivers from 8th back to 11th, keeping it close while they're making passes on drivers in front. Already made their pit stops. Older tires is for the field, and what a change it's been. Been seeing the cloud coverage really changing how you see the track. It's been bright and gray at times and dark and shadowy on others. And the track temp has been fluctuating greatly throughout tonight's race. But right now, with 20 laps to go, track temp 101 degrees. The coolness, the shadows, the track's just going to cool off, get a little bit faster. And for Brian P. Johnson, he's hoping the quickness is there as he's chopped that lead down to almost a second and a half.
Yeah, down to about 1.7 right now, Sam. So, you know, the interesting thing to be seen still is can he keep this pace, or as the run goes on, are those tires going to start evening out? He's doing a good job so far, and like you said, he's almost got it down to a second and a half right now. So I know he's going to give it all he's got here.
Trying everything at this moment. Shane Terry, points leader, hoping to still have the points lead after tonight's race as he's trying to run down the best they can. It's Larry Eatling in fourth. Christopher Norris, great run for the 38 machine. John Forbes carrying on after his win last week in the 11, just showing some consistency, which is needed for a field that the first 4 races of the season, it felt like no one could find any type of grip and consistency at all. And now with us being 7 races into the regular season, officially onto the second half of our regular season, this is crunch time if you're hoping to make the playoffs. And some of these drivers have certainly put on a great show as we bounce up. See Ken Campbell, 7th place position, trying to close in the gap on Cole Sacchetti, who aims to try to get a top 10 run, which the way that the first half of this race was going, you could say yes, there was top 10 speed in the 42, even top 5 speed at times, but after getting the lucky dog spot, I'm surprised the 42 was able to come back as strongly as he did here on this run.
Yeah, I feel like Cole Sacchetti might look at this one as one that potentially got away from him. We didn't really get a chance to see if he was going to be a dominant car or not, but we know he definitely had speed. He was up in the top 5 early, and to his credit, massive rebound. But great run for Ken Campbell as well, running P7. Kind of a quiet night for Campbell, but a solid top 10 run tonight. It's going to be a good night for that 15 car.
Ken Campbell looking good this evening. 16 laps to go. The gap is down to 1.1 seconds. A little bit less than 2/10 that last go around for Brian Johnson. And I think we're starting to see the plateau. Johnson can see the bumper of Nelson, but not closing in as quickly as maybe he was hoping. It's down to a second now with 15 laps still go. As long as it's a 10th each lap, a 28 should be there with 5 laps to go, and that's when the duel will really strike.
Well, I mean, he's still got a chance, Sam, because we had originally said it was going to have to be 2/10 a lap. So he's kind of got it now within, if he can just do a 10th a lap, he might be there. And he's got it to about a second. So, we could see kind of one of those old-fashioned mile-and-a-half finishes here.
I mean, it would be a classic to see. Mile-and-a-half finishes back in the day in these Gen 4 cars. It always felt like it was down to those last 5 to 3 laps, sometimes even the last lap on who can make a pass off at exit of 4, exit of 2. And Benjamin Nelson, who usually when you see the leader come into pit road, it's later. It's the control vehicle that has the option of waiting for other drivers to come into pit road to have the freshest tires and have that advantage for later on in the race. The 79, the gutsy call, you don't see that very often. And I think for Benjamin Nelson, this could bite him here tonight if he loses this race on pitting that a couple of laps too soon.
I mean, it could, Sam, but it's a chess game. At the end of the day, it's a chess match. And I really commend Benjamin Nelson for making the first move, because as the leader, it's normally up to you to react around you because you're the one leading the race. So normally, it's going to be someone else that's going to make the first move to try to beat you. So, it looked like he kind of tried to take that out of the equation and kind of take it upon himself and say, I'm going to make the first move and make you guys do something to beat me. So kind of a risky move, but as of right now, it's paying off. And, the times are starting to plateau out, Sam. We're staying right around this 1 second mark. So, I know Brian P. Johnson's doing all he can here, but doesn't have a lot of time left.
He really doesn't. And for Brian, it doesn't help on the fact that that last lap did not gain anything on our leader. That is a very crucial thing to keep our eyes on. There's just a couple of laps that you really can give up on not gaining any time. And for Brian P. Johnson, he's also being kind of haunted by the 16, the Zombies machine of being Joshua Kanata, who's got fresher tires, putting the pressure on the 28 and forcing Brian maybe not to run the lane that he's wanting, or maybe losing a little bit of traction on where he's feeling the most comfortable.
Yeah, and you know, Benjamin Nelson's a smart driver. Like we got to give him credit because, you know, he may have been saving just a little bit, Sam, to get to this point within the last 10 laps, and now he's turned up the wick maybe a little bit. But yeah, these lap cars that are catching the 28, it's definitely not helping out his cause here. As this is gonna, you know, really mess up his attempt to catch our leader here.
Yeah, this is looking rough for Brian P. Johnson. It's still down to go second, but hasn't gained any time the last couple of laps. But Isaiah Sutherland, 14, just got by Brian, could be a factor to mess with Benjamin Nelson, cost some time there. They could put the 28 back into the mixture, but with 10 laps to go, no one expected to come into pit road and get a fresh set of tires to go for the Rocket Man Award. Currently, it's Larry Yingling who's got the fastest lap, get that bonus point in 4th place. And Larry also trying to close in and maybe big pass on Zach, but a little bit too far back. As you see, Benjamin Nelson dealing with lap traffic, not going to be hurting him much here, though.
Yeah, looks like Isaiah Sutherland caught our leader at a pretty good spot right there, where he caught Brian Johnson kind of in the middle of the corner. Looked like he kind of rolled up to our leader and went around him on the outside. So not as much time taking off as Benjamin Nelson was hoping here. Or, I'm sorry, as Brian P. Johnson was hoping.
Absolutely not. It was not the gain that he was hoping for, and it just stays stable. 7 laps to go. Zach Hall in 3rd. Solid day for the 32. He's just been looking for solid days. It's been a win or lose type of a season of either he's wrecked out or it's a solid finish. He's had 2 solid finishes in Las Vegas. Found himself finishing 4th, 5th at Darlington. And without those 2 finishes, he's finished outside of the top 10 every race. And here tonight, once again, going for a top 5 finish would be his 3rd of the season, 3rd top 10 finish as well. And could be putting Zach even closer inside of the picture of staying in our top 5 in points for this 32 machine. As Nelson, 6 laps to go, about to be 5 laps to go. And wanting this race to stay green is this 79.
Yeah, as long as this race stays green, Sam, barring a massive mistake by the 79, I feel like he's got this in the bag. As long as we have that green flag out, he's been the strongest car tonight. You know, we talked to him during the stage break, and he was saying how he loved this track. He loved how the way his car was feeling, and he's been the man tonight. He's set sail, and he's done what he had to do.
He has been looking fabulous up front qualified 2nd, almost took the pole, and has been in the lead position practically all night long. The only time that he wasn't in 1st or 2nd position was during the pit stop cycle. But when it's been green and it's been the drivers in full song, this 79 has been the top dominant driver of this evening, and the 1.5 miles might have to crown Benjamin Nelson as the champion of these races. You think back to Atlanta, Benjamin Nelson was even looking strong during that race. The only issue, he was caught up with that lap 1 incident of drivers wheel spinning, and he was an innocent victim caught up in it. Otherwise, this 79 could have swept all the 1.5 mile races with 3 laps to go here this evening.
And you know, I love what he said when he talked to us, Sam. He said, you know, I'm disappointed in myself. I blame myself because I put myself in a bad situation. You know, that's what you like to hear, you know, from a driver taking ownership when I don't necessarily think it was his fault. You know, he was just kind of in the wrong spot at the wrong time, but he's kind of putting that on his shoulders and saying, no, I need to do a better job of putting myself in better position, starting up front. And that's what he did tonight, Sam. He started on the front row, and he just has not looked back.
He has not. Brian Johnson in the last around 8 to 9 laps has only gained 2/10, but Benjamin Nelson has continued to look stout. 79, 2 laps to go, has been up front, looking great and trying to continue with his greatness, trying to become the first driver to have 2 wins this season. Benjamin Nelson, the rookie, exit of 4 and gets to see the white flag in the air. It's your Roasted Gems white flag. You'll remember to use promo code WSSR for 5% off at roastedgems.com to get your coffee and your day started off right. Benjamin Nelson has Ollie Fonseca in front of him. Ollie's trying to stay on the lead lap and deciding, does he want to run another lap or let the leader drive on by? It looks like the 24 wants to go around one more distance as Benjamin Nelson. What a run of dominance here this evening. Exit of 4 has the lap car in front of him, but it doesn't matter. Texas goes to Benjamin Nelson here this evening.
What a massive race by Benjamin Nelson. We talked about it. I asked him, I said, is this a statement race for you? And he said, well, that's not really for me to decide. Well, I'm going to decide it for you here, Benjamin. That was a statement race for you. Great job. Huge win for the 79 tonight.
First driver to become a 2-time winner in Season 7. The rookie to do it. And it was a great one for Benjamin Nelson. The only yellow flag thrown was the competition caution. If that was wiped away, I think tonight we could have stayed caution-free. Benjamin said it. This vehicle looked to be stable. There were a few, maybe a handful of times when drivers looked a little bit too out of control, but the 79 machine keeps himself up front, dominates, and gets to burn it down here at the Texas 09 configuration. Congratulations to Benjamin W. Nelson on getting the win. For us up at the booth, we are going to step away. We've got the post-race show right after this. We'll talk to our top 3, Benjamin Nelson, Brian Johnson, and Zach Hall, and as well a Spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Want to give the shout outs again to the amazing sponsors that help out the WSSR, being Roasted Gems Coffee, the title sponsor of the WSSR Cup Series. Remember to go start your day off with some premium quality coffee at roastedgems.com. They got a wide selection of flavors. They've got super caffeinated as well as many a different flavor blends that you can check out. And remember to use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. Getting your coffee today. And Trophy Smack. Be the envy of your competition with fantasy football right around the corner and people drafting for fantasy football and as well with sim racing. You might want to go get yourself a custom trophy to show off to your competition that you're either the biggest winner or the biggest loser. And remember to go use the promo code WSSR Smack, all one word, for 10% off when purchasing at Trophy Smack. Thank you to the amazing sponsors here tonight for the WSSR. Now let's start off the post-race show with our winner being Benjamin Nelson. Dominated the first 45 laps and dominated for the rest of it. We've got the 79 with us. Ben, congratulations on the win. How are you feeling after this one, becoming the first driver to have 2 wins in Season 7?
Oh man, I'm so pumped. This is I kind of needed this because I had obviously a few run-ins with some luck, but mostly mistakes. This is definitely a return to what I feel like I can do. I just kept messing myself up every race, but I was so happy with the way the car handled today. I was so happy with everyone's keeping it clean. That was awesome. It's a caution-free race.
Hey, Benjamin,
Besides the,
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say besides the competition, obviously. Besides that.
Yeah, for sure. So, Benjamin, we talked to you at the break there, and I asked you if you felt like this could be a statement race for you. I'm going to ask you the same question now that you're sitting in victory lane. The first driver to win 2 races this year. Do you feel like this was a statement race for you? And do you feel like this is going to propel you to maybe kind of go on a run here, maybe rattle off some more wins?
Well, I like to think so. But you never know. All the guys in here are so good, so it's hard to say, but it's definitely good momentum, and momentum is a thing. As I know, I lost a lot of it last few weeks, so this is a good bounce back. Uh, I was just I was really happy with the way the car handled, and everybody raced clean. I cannot say enough how nice that feels to have a caution-free race at a place like this where tire wear is such a huge factor.
I mean, let's talk about the tire wear. Ben, you were one of the first drivers to pit of those that were on the lead lap and up inside of our top 10. What made you feel like you needed to be one of the first drivers there on that final pit stop? Because we usually see those leaders stretch it out a little bit further.
Well, really, I wasn't basing it off of the other people. I was just basing it off of like a 35 to go window. So that's just what I aimed for, and I did that. And I guess Brian went a lot longer both runs, and I could tell because he was catching me so fast. But um, I did save a little bit in the tank until he got closer. Then I kind of let it loose. It was getting a little hard to handle at the end there, but um, I was not gonna I was not gonna let him get too close because if I caught a lap car in the wrong place or anything can happen. I don't want to lose it just because I didn't push. But that's it was good. The strategy was on point today for most people. I liked the ability that we could leapfrog each other if we wanted to with tire wear. Some tracks you can't do that.
Yeah, some tracks you're not able to, but tonight it was a special one. You dominated up front, and it was amazing to watch, Ben. But before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my mom and dad in there watching. I'm sure they're all happy. They were definitely happy last time I won, so I'm glad I could do that while they're watching. I think a few of my coworkers were watching as well. So, that's my cat. She's happy too. um, and you guys for putting on such an amazing broadcast. You guys are so good at what you do. I never told you that, I don't think, but I love watching your stuff. You're so professional. I, I I'm so happy that you guys are doing this for this league. It's so fun to watch them. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for saying that. It helps when you guys give us an awesome show to call. That's the 79-year winner here at Texas, being Benjamin Nelson. Congratulations on the win again, and good luck next week at North Wilkesboro.
Thank you.
Well, from victory lane, we go to second place. Had to change up the strategy, and it just came up a little bit shy. We got the 28 machine of Brian P. Johnson in that TrophySmack.com car. Brian, coming up shy. You get second place, but still a solid day. How are you feeling after your performance here at Texas?
Yeah, pretty good. It was a good change from the past 3 weeks. Last week didn't get the position I thought I should have had with the whole restart roulette thing there at the end. So got caught on the bottom, but had a good finish. And then the two races before that, had some equipment malfunction, so that that wasn't too good. But I figured those out, I think. And so yeah, it's good to get a top three finish again. I've definitely like the past, four races been running near the top five and just hadn't got a top five. So good to finally put that together. And while I didn't came up a little bit short to Ben there at the end, it was still closer than the last time I was in that situation. So at least I can say I learned something. Um but we'll I'll keep adjusting those long green flag run strategies, and hopefully I'll be able to get them one of these times.
Well, Brian, congratulations, man, on a strong P2 finish tonight. You like you just said, you've had speed every week, and it just seems like between equipment malfunctions and kind of different circumstances, it's taking you out of a good finish. So I know this P2's got to feel good for you tonight. But my question is, you talked about strategy there. We were kind of watching and seeing when everyone was coming to pit road. What were your thoughts when you saw Benjamin Nelson peel off? Were you surprised that he peeled off that early, and kind of take us through your mindset of staying out a couple extra laps?
No, I wasn't too surprised because that's just kind of where the splits and the green flag runs kind of landed. We knew we couldn't do a one stop, and so he pitted pretty much right where if you break that run up into thirds, kind of right around there. And I knew that he's much better at saving the right front than me, so he has a little bit better long run pace. So I knew that I wanted to overcut him to try to generate a tire advantage for myself. And so yeah, the first green flag pit stop, I was waiting for him to pit. And I was gonna base my pit stop off of his, and I was like, okay, well, probably no more than 5 laps. So came in 5 laps later, and then same thing with the second green flag pit stop. I was like, I'm just gonna base it off of Ben, and but knowing that I had a less laps to work with, I was like, well, I'll just instead of 5, I'll do 4, and it almost worked. I got kind of hung up behind a lap car at the exit of pit road. But that maybe have cost me maybe half a second. So but I was talking with Ben after the race. He was like, I was saving up until you were a second behind me, and then I started not saving anymore, and I was like, that was very obvious because that gap got down to 1 second, and then it stayed there the rest of the race. So um just gotta adjust that green flag pit stop, lap number after Ben a little bit. Maybe I'll even try undercutting him at some point, maybe if I get the opportunity. But the important thing is that I was closer than I was at Las Vegas, so making small gains.
You'll take those gains, and after tonight, it kind of gets difficult heading to North Wilkesboro, Sonoma, Dover being the next three races before Charlotte being the last one of the season. It's crazy to think this regular season is chipping away as quickly as it is. Brian, how are you feeling about these next couple of races coming up?
Well, North Wilkesboro, it hasn't been a favorite of mine. Hasn't treated me too well either. So, um, I'll be looking for Cedric to have a really good race next week. Hopefully he can find himself in victory lane. But me, I'll be lucky to get a top five, maybe a top 10 with these guys. But Sonoma definitely got to beat Zach at Sonoma. I call him the Sonoma Sasquatch. So, gotta do a bunch of practice that week and try to beat him at Sonoma. And then Dover. Out of those tracks, that's probably the one that I have circled. Dover's always been pretty fun for me. And then Charlotte, love Charlotte, so that's kind of a given. But everybody will be good at that race, and so definitely will have to be perfect to try to win that one.
Well, Brian, we know a win is right around the corner. Congratulations on a good finish here tonight. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shoutouts.
Got to thank everybody that tuned in, and you guys, of course, for always putting on a great show. Got to thank Roasted Jim's Coffee and Trophy Smack. WSSR can't happen without them. And got to thank Race Control, Steve Benjamin tonight. He's done a great job the whole season, so definitely give him a shout out. And then all the other admins that help make this thing run, and then all the drivers that uh, came out to race tonight. We still got really strong numbers. Several races into the season, so that's great to see. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, that's going to be the 28 Machine TrophySmack.com car of Ryan P. Johnson. Congratulations on second place. Enjoy this finish. We hope that your good luck with your VR continues forward as well.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Well, we go from second place down to third, where Zach Hall thought maybe he had the strategy that was going to get him up front. The timing in the window didn't work out, but still a solid finish for the 32. Zach, it's Sam and Josh up in the booth. Congratulations on a third place finish. You had to fight a couple of drivers there at times to get this third place, but man, how are you feeling after this run?
I'm really happy with that, man. Yeah, not enough for the guys up front. Of course, those two were in a different zip code. I think the track rubbered up a little bit, and it just got a little bit tighter each run. And I struggled with the right front just a tiny bit. I felt like that was my struggle point, where I was good in the mid part of the run, but that last 10, 15 laps of a run, I'd start to get a little too tight, and then that's when the rear end starts to step out, and it just gets really tough. But I think personally, a third place finish is about as good as I could have asked for tonight, and very happy with that, especially with Ben winning. It's a good team points night. Even without Nick here, I think we have the top teams points, so that's always good to have another solid run.
Yeah, Zach, congrats, man, on a solid P3 finish tonight. I know you're coming off the win from last night at Full Send Racing there at Iowa. So I know you got to be feeling good, having a strong performance here. It seems like it's been a little bit of a feast or famine season for you. Are you feeling strong now, being able to come out here and show out and finish on a podium? Do you feel like that's gonna be able to give you the momentum to carry into the rest of the regular season here?
I 1000% agree with you there, Josh. I tell you what, man, it has been a feast or famine season for me. It's I put a lot of that down to, I think, qualifying. If I can qualify like I did tonight, which I think that shows in results anytime I qualify in the top 5, we finish top 5. So that is, I think, the one thing that if I can just get that right, because I know my race pace, I always just believe in my race pace, that if I can get the qualifying right, we'll be in a good starting spot, and that always bodes well when you got a big field like we do here tonight. So it is looking good if we can qualify. So hopefully we'll keep that streak up.
Well, Zach, we're moving from the mile and a half, going straight back to short track racing at North Wilkesboro next week, then Sonoma road course racing before we hit the concrete at Dover. What's your thoughts for this next couple of string of races coming up?
Well, if we can get through North Wilkesboro, we'll be happy. I mean, Wilkesboro is going to be tough. It's a track that I think is in my wheelhouse. I personally love the racetrack. I'm just a little concerned, of course, with these cars. You can kind of jack people up so easily that it could get into a little bit of a yellow fest. As tonight, we definitely didn't get them here tonight, so we might get them next week. So I have to expect maybe a few there, but I'm excited for Sonoma. I've surprisingly, in all 10 of my league races I've done at Sonoma, I've never lost. I think that's going to kind of come to an end most likely when we get there. So we'll just have to see how that goes. We'll look for a solid finish on the road course, of course, and then Dover and Charlotte to end out the regular season. I'm excited to see how those play out too, because I think I've ran good at tracks that haven't been my best tracks before in other cars, and I'm excited to see if that can kind of be a case with those. So it's an optimistic outlook here heading into these final 4 regular season races.
Well, we're excited to see how you're going to perform at them, Zach. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours.
Well, first off, shout out to all the sponsors here at our league. Roasted Jim's Coffee, first off, for being the title sponsor and all they do. If you haven't yet, go check out Roasted Jim's Coffee at roastedjims.com. Use that promo code WSSR and get yourself a discount there at your purchase. And also go check out TrophySmack.com and go see what they have in selection for you there. They got some great stuff. Make sure you check out the Wall Smack. Those are really, really cool. So thank you to our sponsors. They help make all of this happen here. Thank you to you guys up in the booth, all the work y'all do. It's a pleasure to come out here and put on races like this one tonight. And then last but not least, shout out to my teammates and the drivers out on the track, because to have just one competition caution all night, it's the first time we got a competition caution this season. I'm really proud of the league for that. So great job on everybody, and we'll see how we go into North Wilkesboro.
Tonight certainly was a night of firsts, and Zach, congratulations on a third place finish, and good luck next week.
Thanks, guys.
Well, we go from third place to our spotlight driver. We pull in one of the drivers that was the biggest mover of the night from where they qualified, up 11 spots. 8th place finisher of Ken Campbell. Ken, congratulations on a top 10 finish, being your third top 10 finish of the season. How are you feeling after tonight? Because it looked like you were around a lot of the chaos for most of this evening.
Yeah, I was. Saw a lot of it out through the windshield, and was just trying to pick my spots of when to use tires to get around it and when not to, and it ended up working out.
Yeah, Ken, congrats on another solid top 10 finish, man. I feel like I talk to you about this all the time now, but just, talk a little bit about the talent level in the series, man. It seems like these top 10s that you're getting, it feels almost like wins for you, right? Just because of how much talent's out there. So I guess my question is, what tracks coming up are you looking forward to? Do you think you might have a shot to get a win at?
Well, to be honest, I don't even know what tracks are coming up. I kind of go week to week with this and put so much effort into this week. Don't really look forward. And so I don't want to skip anything and, go a couple out. And so what's coming up next week? Can you tell me that?
Next week's going to be North Wilkesboro, then Sonoma, Dover, and Charlotte. That's going to be the end of our regular season.
North Wilkesboro, I don't like short tracks, but I tend to do well at short tracks. Sonoma, I might be 5 laps down. Dover, unfortunately, I think I'm going to miss. I was really looking forward to that one. And then Charlotte, I love Charlotte, but everybody loves Charlotte. So it's going to be a grind for sure, but hopefully I can start qualifying a little bit better and make the top 10s, top 5s, and, catch up in some points a little bit.
Still a solid day, Ken, after tonight's race, looking like you're now moving up to 13th in points, so no longer that cutoff driver. But tonight was a little bit different with the competition caution. First time getting to the competition caution, and it looked like fuel saving was the key. How did that first stint handle for yourself? Because we saw about 5 or 6 drivers forced to come to pit road.
Yeah, so we talked about it at the beginning of the race, and I looked up and I was like, oh, it's saying I can make it like 44 laps. And I was like, well, we haven't gone to the comp caution yet, so there's no point in saving right from the get-go. Let's just go ahead and get what we can get and be in better track position when the caution comes out, because it always comes out, and it's going to come out again. And lo and behold, we go green the whole way, and everybody was kind of starting, I guess about lap 30, it was like, oh no, we better start doing stuff. So started running about half throttle then. I just gained a couple of spots and was running about half throttle there, trying to maintain the track position and make it to the caution. That wasn't working, so then I had to start clutching and gave up all the spots that I had just taken. But when I pulled into my pit stall, so I have a button box, and I was actually able, as soon as the caution came out, I started shutting the car off. And the car was off, and I rolled into my pits with 0.0 gallons in the tank. So it definitely threw a wrinkle into everything. We thought that more people were going to be caught off by it and have to pit, and so we didn't gain the track position that we wanted to by staying out, but at least we were able to maintain.
That you certainly did, and another solid day. Congratulations on that, Ken. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours.
First and foremost, thanks to my wife and kids, Logan, Jet, and Easton. They support me in everything that I do, sim racing included. My mom, sister, and nephew Lawson, they always tune in and watch the broadcasts. Everybody at Storm Motorsports, Collie, Sacchetti, Medlin, Stitz, Wade, and Chelsea, as long as she stays off the Wi-Fi. Impact Sim Designs for making sure I look good on track. Roasted Gems Coffee, Trophy Smack for supporting the league. The admins here, it's a fantastic league to run in, very fun. And you guys up in the booth.
Well, thank you very much, Ken. Congratulations on a top 10 finish, and good luck next week at North Wilkesboro.
Appreciate it.
Well, with the interviews being done, we get ourselves prepared to look at the unofficial results for tonight's race. Talked about it, heard Zach say, first for the league on heading and hitting the competition caution. Well, it was the first time the league ever ran here at the Legacy Texas course in WSSR's history books in any season. And as well, first driver to get 2 wins this season goes to 79 of Benjamin Nelson. If you looked at the coming into the preseason, you could say coming into season 7, Benjamin Nelson was one of the favorites to be going for a championship. So no surprise, he's the first one to get 2 wins this season. Finishing second is going to be the 28 Brian P. Johnson, Zach Hall in third, Larry Yingling in fourth, Shane Tarian, who will continue to be the points leader, in fifth, with Cedric Hunter, good finish for the 13 in sixth. Cole Sketty, what a rebound for the 42 in seventh position. Ken Campbell, biggest mover of the night, coming away in eighth. Christopher Norris in ninth, and 10th goes to John Forbes. Strong race for some, Josh. Others, they probably can't wait for a new week.
Yeah, for sure. A couple of these guys right outside the top 10, still really good, strong runs. We look at Danny Cochran finishing 11th. I noted, I wanted to see him finish where he was running, and he did that. So great job to Danny finishing 11th there. Chris Stitz, we saw him get in the wall at one point, still finishes 12th. Our pole sitter, James Heater, finishes 14th, so he fell back a little bit, but kind of maintained. Still a solid run for him. Brandon Colley, 15th. Douglas Newbigging, 16th. We're not really used to seeing him back there, so a little bit of a rough night for him. And then if we look a little further down the leaderboard here, I look at drivers like Isaiah Sutherland. He's been really strong the last several weeks. He was one of those drivers that ran out of fuel before that competition caution there. So tough night for him, finishing 23rd. A little further down, we saw Joshua Kanata speed on pit road late, finished 27th. So he had a good run going tonight. So a couple of these guys, Ross Tatum had the speeding penalty as well. Also looked fast. So definitely a couple of these guys looking forward to getting out of Texas.
Yeah, Texas for some was a good reset after last week's caution-filled Bristol race, but tonight, both drivers are going to have to reset for another road course. Next week, North Wilkesboro, the next destination for the field at WSSR. How are they going to handle the road? Another short track before they head to a road course. You'll find out here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But if you want to see more racing coverage throughout the week, well, hit that subscribe button as well as hitting the bell notification to be notified when we go live or when we post new video content. As our next race tomorrow night, Stars and Stripes head to the concrete of Nashville Super Speedway for their 7th race of the season. Before we get our weekend break, we're right back to coverage on Monday night, 4 days a week. Monday's the ISRC Truck Series, then Tuesday, it's the Full Send Racing Series and Xfinity Car of the Gen 4s. Right back here, Wednesday night, WSSR, Roast Gems Cup Series. And I gotta say, Josh, certainly a lot of different factors were thrown around. But Benjamin Nelson, top to bottom, the most dominant driver of the night. No surprise, he got it done at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're spot on, Sam. I mean, Benjamin Nelson, we were talking about the consistency not necessarily being there, but man, he talked about it. He qualified up front and he stayed there tonight. And a little bit of a different pace than what we've seen lately. To only have one caution and that be the competition caution. Really, really big kudos to all the drivers in the field. This is a tough track to drive with not a whole lot of data to go off of, and everyone kept it clean and green. And we saw a great race at the end, and it looked like Benjamin Nelson was the one that came out on top.
That he did, leading 124 laps of 150 was Benjamin Nelson. Qualified second, stayed up front, and never looked back. Well, for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We appreciate every viewer that watches these races. And for myself, Sam Dyer, for Joshua Altus, Robert Moyer Jr., who runs production for every single one of our broadcasts, and everyone else at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us on your Wednesday evening. Tomorrow, it's the Stars and Stripes heading to next week, for WSSR. They head to North Wilkesboro. But tomorrow, it's the Stars and Stripes series heading to Nashville Super Speedway for race number 7. Who's going to get the concrete win? We'll have to find out on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.